There we go. So we are now live.
Yay!
Hello, hello, hello,
No.
Facebook. How are you? So I am super excited. So for those of you who might be tuning in for the first time, I am Gwendolyn Young. I am here with you from your virtual admin expert, and welcome to Leading from Behind the Scene, your weekly dose of inspiration to equip you to excel in business and life. This month, I have been focusing on people I think you should. Last week, I introduced you to Kyla Graham, who is a CPA. She talked to us about things that nonprofits should keep doing, things that they need to stop doing, but most importantly, about how they need to connect their money to their mission. And so she dropped a lot of gems. If you didn't get to see that episode, make sure you circle back and watch the replay. This week, I have the pleasure of showcasing Mrs. Juanita Ingram, who is one of my favorite people. And my mommy even loves her. So y'all know she's special.
And the feeling is mutual.
Yes. Juanita is an attorney, she's an author, she's an actress, she's an international beauty queen who just happens to be an international expat as well. I mean, she has a shoe named after her, y'all. It's called the Nita Shoe, and it helps to raise funds for Dress for Success Greater London. So you have to go to her website, I am Juanita Ingram, and check it out. It's so pretty and it's nice and sparkly, just like her. She has founded not one, but two Dress for Success affiliate organizations, one in the UK in London, one here in the US in Tennessee, Chattanooga, where she is originally from. And if that were not enough to keep her busy, she is also the founder and president of Purpose Productions, a nonprofit that focuses on positive media content for women. So, child, can you say boss lady? For real?
Oh,
So,
thank you.
Oh my gosh. So Juanita, you and I actually met through Upwork. And
yes.
So for all those people who keep asking if Upwork is worth it, in my opinion, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, I have met some of my best clients on Upwork, and quite a few of them are actually still with me today. And so at that time, this was back in 2014, Juanita was looking for a consultant to help kind of create a strategy for the relaunch of Dress for Success Greater London. And so she invited me to submit a proposal, which I did. And here we are 6 years later. Can you believe it?
I know. It's kind of crazy. And it did all start on Upwork. And I mean, when you talk about team and tribe, some of the best people that I've ever worked with, you included, has been through Upwork. I mean, it is an amazing platform for freelancers, so much talent, and it just connects you with people. So I love it.
I love it as well. So I think that's a great point. So before we jump into talking about like your entrepreneur journey and how we've worked together, I would really like for you to share like why you decided to use Upwork. What were you looking for in the person you wanted to work with? Because I think this is important because there's a lot of newbies, freelancers, contractors who are trying to position themselves to attract the right type of clients on these type of platforms. I think they really need to platforms.
Yes, so I decided to use Upwork because one, most of the time, unless you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, it is so hard to get quality services, whether it's freelance, whether it's through a company. And unless someone can vouch for that person or you hear it word of mouth, you just don't know who to go to. And then if you're just starting out with an endeavor, and just starting out with either a business or you don't know where to look, you may not even know what you need.
Yeah.
So to me, I think for Upwork, I can type in graphic designer, and then all of these different services will pull up, and then I can read what someone is even able to offer, but it is a way to connect you with qualified individuals that you may not otherwise be able to come across. Maybe your network, as an attorney, my network didn't consist of nonprofit strategists. I had clients who had nonprofits, but they were using strategists themselves, but I didn't necessarily have virtual assistants and business strategists in my Rolodex, so to speak, readily available to me, and certainly not a variety that I could put out a proposal to. And then also, because my background is in procurement law and supply chain, I was used to the procurement process where you go out, submit a proposal, people come back and bid, and I knew the value that that process gave, because it really does allow you to see a variety of different people with a different level of skill set, different repertoire of things that they can offer you. But if you don't go through that, I look at it as an individualized procurement process that you can engage in, that you can tailor to your own needs without having to necessarily, you know, going out to market. What does that even mean to a small business owner? So unless you're in a conference or you're networking with other people, that's all fine and great. But what about the fact that you need something right now?
Exactly.
So yeah, so until you go out to the conference and you build up your network of people, and even if you meet them, that doesn't mean that you want to work with them. So I love the fact that there are reviews out there of other people, and they allow people to leave an honest review. And so, you know, you really can tailor the services that you need. You meet great people that become a part of your tribe like you. And that's how you build. That's how you build a business and a team.
Yes. And you mentioned something really important about being able to look at the reviews, because I think a lot of people don't realize the review process on that platform is anonymous. Like, the person can't see what you're writing or typing until it's already published. And so I think a lot of times people think like the reviews and stuff might be fake or that they've been kind of altered, but you don't even get to see it until it's posted. So you're literally like, okay, you just got to do your best on that project and make sure that you've had a great connection with your client so that you're not even concerned when that review gets posted. So I think that's the thing people really need to know.
Yeah, and it's not like, you know, Amazon where you can have a friend go out and buy a book and write something. No, these are verified relationships, verified services and contracts for services that have been done. They've been verified through, you know, the process. And yeah, no, there's no faking it. There's no ability to be able to write something. And you're right, it's anonymous. You don't necessarily see it, and you don't have any input on it, and you can't go back and revise it. There's no refute or reply to it. It is what it is. And so I think it emphasizes the importance of the relationship in the engagement. And it is an honest review, because people will write honest things. They'll be like, you know, I like them as a person, but they don't deliver on time, or they deliver on time, but you know, their English is not that great. It's hard to communicate with them. Very open, very honest. So you can really choose, like, you know, maybe I don't mind if this person doesn't speak English that well, because I'm just having them do, you know, a Canva graphic design, and I don't need to communicate. Whereas for one of my books, my editor came from Upwork. So, you know, so it was critical that we be able to communicate well. And she's probably one of the most talented editors I've ever worked with. And I've referred her on to many people, but she and I met on Upworks.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get her 411 when we get off the line.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if I've ever told you this, but there are like 3 key things that I have really learned and really taken notes on working with you. And so one is that you really treasure relationships. Like, I've really noticed that about you. You are loyal, oh my gosh, to the people that you work with and that are in your tribe. And you've never allowed people to put you in a box and say you can only do this. So I really want to dig into like each of these. So tell me, why are you so big on relationships? Because I mean, you like literally moved your entire life to another country when one of your Link sisters called you and said she needed some support over in the UK. So like, why? Like, why did
Well,
you do that?
well, and here's the thing. So when she called me, we were already there. And
Okay.
that was one of the reasons why she called me, because she knew. But it's funny because the week before we moved there, I just so happened to have lunch with her. She was in Indianapolis. That's where we were living before we moved. And I was at a lunch with her because the Links were having a lunch with her. And I just so happened to mention, she asked me, what do you have up? And I'm like, yeah, I'm about to relocate to a whole nother country. And she and I connected, and she gave me a mentor going over, because she's an attorney too. This is the worldwide CEO of Dress for Success, who is a phenomenal woman, phenomenal person. I admire her so much on so many levels. And it's just the kind of person that she is. Like, it was just not even a second thought. Oh, you're moving somewhere. Oh, well, let me give you some guidance on how to navigate that. Let me let you talk to somebody. She's an attorney. I'm an attorney. She gave me another mentor who was over in the UK, because I had to navigate, and it sort of dovetails into your third point about not being in the box. Well, until that point, I kind of been in a little box then, and there are seasons to everything.
Yes.
So in that season, I had only concentrated on just being an attorney and a mom and a wife and all these other things, and some other things, but not outside of a box. And so it was new for me, and she knew that. So we connected in that way. But then when she called me about, she was like, I have a favor to ask. And I'm like, okay, you must be coming over. You need a place to stay. My doors are always open. And she was like, I need you to restart this business. And part of the background of what happened, I'm big on relationships, because I'm big on women supporting other women. And I just know that none of us succeeds in a bubble. I didn't, and if it hadn't been for wonderful, phenomenal people, mentors, women, just people in my life, I think relationships matter so much, because you don't succeed without them. I really am a firm believer that life is all about relationships. I mean, if it weren't for our relationship, I'm not sure the Dress for Success London or Chattanooga would have happened. You can't do it all by yourself. That is just not a reality. So I think it started for me with family. I come from a very small, tight-knit family unit. It's just my sister and I. My mom had one brother. My grandmother came from a family of 7, but we would all get together. And I've always been like that. Even in high school, I had a very small, close-knit group of friends. I've never been one that needed 100 friends or 50, even though I have 10,000 followers here and 13,000 followers on this. I don't really thrive off of big circles and big groups. I thrive off of quality relationships. And I've seen how it can change the trajectory of your whole world with just one phone call, one person being willing to do something to help. I've done that for other people, and you don't know. It may be small to you, but it could be critical to somebody else that just needs that extra help or that extra support. And sometimes we don't have it because we don't ask for it. So I foster relationships where I have no shame at texting you at 2 a.m, like, Gwendolyn, help. And if I don't have that kind of relationship where I can text at 2 a.m, because it's up racking my brain, and I know it's only 2 p.m. for you. If that help me text feels uncomfortable, then where would I be? What would I do? So I have to be around people and with people that I feel comfortable crying out for help, because we all need to do that.
We do. And that is so important. And I think it's so important for people to understand that power of relationships. Because one of the things I always said was I don't ever want to assume. So I'm like, let me just ask her, what do you need? And if there's a period of time that goes and I don't hear from you, I'm like, what's she doing? And I'll just be like, hey. I'm like, what you doing? You need some help. And you be like, oh my God, you text me at the right time. And so we have to make sure that we're doing those check-ins as well with our clients. I love my client relationships because they're just they're so honest, first of all. We just get to be who we are. People don't realize we'll be on a WhatsApp or a video or something at 2 a.m. with head scarves and be like, girl, Look,
Because I tell you, you're going to get 2 a.m. Juanita, okay? This is not 2 a.m. Juanita. 2 a.m. Juanita is different. You've seen her. She's different. You're going to get 2 a.m. Juanita. Yeah.
So I think you off you try where I see you kind of work with, you just like go back to them all the time for projects. So what was it that kept you coming back to me? Like, let me call Gwendolyn because I'm getting ready to work on X, Y, and Z.
Oh gosh. It would be, I mean, everything. I think your execution is phenomenal. It's just your knowledge base, your skill set. You do everything. This is the biggest thing. You do everything you say you're going to do. Everything. I don't have to ask 3 or 4 times. I don't have to follow up. I don't have to, wonder if it's going to be great or phenomenal. And it's always something that I could not do. It is and in that sense, I mean, it's such a value add because it's not like, some people, especially when you get into virtual assistants, it's like they're like glorified scriveners. Like really all they're doing is really just taking down your thoughts and writing them like I can type, but no, it is not that. It is true strategy. It is true thinking beyond, okay, here's what I told you. I could give you here's my dilemma. Here's my problem. Here's the solution that or the problem that I need a solution to. Here's what we are facing. Here's what we have to overcome. And it's not just, I think the word even virtual administrative assistance and all that, I think it's so limited because it really is like business strategy solutions that are beyond just okay, I need this document type. No, it is you develop the content, the strategy, the thought. You have such a breadth of experience in business development that you bring in concepts and ideas and solutions that I would either not be aware of, have not thought of, because you cannot think about everything. You can't, 2 minds are better than one. It really, so for me, for my skill set, for my experiences, it's great to bring all that to the table. And then it's like you bring all of yours to the table too. You're not just coming to the table, taking my stuff and saying, okay, well, let me put this in a nice package or formulate. No, this is real, like partnership on business, true strategy, true execution, and reliable, time sensitive, things. And you won't commit to something that you can't do if you give honest timelines. Like, look, I have this going on, and this deadline, and this is what I can do. If it is an emergency, you will drop everything and say, I got you. And when you say, I got you, you have me, and I don't have to worry about whether or not I sleep better when I hand stuff over to you. Like, I'm like, great. I know that's going to get done. And I literally stop thinking about it. And that's a blessing to be able to stop thinking about it, because if you have, like me, and you have 15 things that you need to problem solve. Yes. And out of that 15, 13 of them, I can only do myself. If I offload 2 of them, you really want to offload them. Yes. And everybody you can't do that to. And I love everybody that I work with, but sometimes I do have people that I work with that are great, but who still require me to think. And once I brain dumped and downloaded, that really was all the thought that I had. that was all I had to give, And people that I work with sometimes that still like, on some of the simplest things and sometimes complex things, it's still more in-holding. I literally hand it over and release it. And you don't know how much of a blessing that is to be able to hand something over and then the piece that is exchanged. So it's almost like casting my worry onto you, my concerns. It's a very spiritual experience of being able to just say, here you go. And know that what you're going to get back is going to be like everything you asked for, could have imagined, times 10 and plus some. And everything that you didn't even know that you needed, that part too. And on time and quality and the document's going to be prettier than what you could have ever done. Pretty, it's going to be nice. And
like, I'm like, we gotta do something with this. Like, we can't just send it in like this.
Right.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
You were the architect of pretty documents in my life. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
I so appreciate that, because that is the whole reason, like, I get up in the morning. Like, it's the whole reason I went into this business, was like, how do I make the people that I support and work with, how do I make their lives easier?
yes.
Like, that is the whole, every morning, that's the goal. How do I make their lives easier today? Like, what can I remove? What can I just knock out the park? And that partnership that you talked about is so important. And I think for any VAs or contractors, freelancers, whatever, that are listening, like, you have to partner with your clients. It's one of the things that I do. Like, I don't just come in like, okay, give me your task, let me go do what you ask. Like, I am fully invested in your business, your success. And that is so important for us as entrepreneurs, client supporters, us virtual support pros, to be invested in the client's business. Because I don't know if we can truly, really serve from a deep place if we don't have that in mind. If it's just like, oh, well, I'm just trying to make $1, versus how can I really help them be successful? It's two completely different mindsets. And it's so important for us to be able to make that shift. And so that's what I try to tell, anybody that's like, well, how did you do it? What did you do? I'm like, I really love working with my clients. I'm always thinking about, I'll be like, what we doing? Like,
yes. Well, and that's the thing, is like, you take the time to understand our business, and I think that's a key differentiating factor also, is that, and I go back to this phrase all the time, just being beyond a glorified scrivener, because attorneys have a tendency of doing that. Like, we'll have clients sometimes that need a contract or need some kind of, document or service. And if you don't understand and take the time to really understand the nature of what it is that they really do, you will give them a document or something that's written, and you became a glorified scrivener where you just writing stuff down that's not really tailored to what it is that they need, and you make your client think. And I know it sounds crazy, but when you are a small business or a business owner, you already think so much and have to think about so much, that it is such a breath of fresh air and such a relief to know that, like I said, to the point where I can process, think, download. That's where I can stop with it. And working with you is not going to make me or require me to think harder. It will enable me to think less. It will enable me to offload and walk away and really let you take it. And a lot of people don't do that. I've worked with some people that I'm just like, if I was going to have to do all this thinking, I'm just may as well just do it myself. Like, I've just had this whole conversation so I can tell you it's a difference between sharing my information about my problem that I need a solution versus telling you how to solve it. And then you're just a glorified, scrivener. You're just out and you just go and write down what I just said or do what I just said, as opposed to really being a solution provider, that person that thinks about what it is that you need when you didn't even know that that's what you need. I honestly, like, there is no way that I will work with anybody else. So when we were getting ready to start with Dress for Success Chattanooga, I was like, first of all, I don't know why it is that so many people, it's very hard for them to get what we do, and like to really understand it and get it. And you did out the gate. But because we have that working relationship and you took the time to really invest and understand exactly what we do and how we do it, it was a no-brainer. Like, of course, Chattanooga it won't happen if she's not there, because the history is there, the time that you took to invest and understand what it is that we do. And that is not just for that one business, but even for Purpose Production. I mean, you have plans for Purpose that are beyond the plans that I even had. Even last time we talked, you were like, now look, we were supposed to do this, and we still have to do that. I'm like,
right, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. I'm like, we got to do this.
That was my vision, isn't it?
Like,
right. I was like, you're right, that is my vision. I'm like, she just told me my whole vision. Yes, that's right. But it's like you get invested and not only hold us to task, or you there's a system in place. When I think about having a problem in my back of my mind, I'm like, I bet you Gwendolyn got a system for that. She got a system that's gonna solve all of that. I'm like, she's got a solution for that. If we need anything, system related, or that's database related, or some kind of operational aspect of what it is that we need interfacing with clients, or what functionally, you're my person. You're my, because I know
we could do that.
And I'm like, from websites to you will have a solution to it, and it's not just the solution to the problem that you thought you had, or just that problem, but then also ideas and things that are outside of the box that are different. And it's just it's a relief. It's a difference between working with somebody that brings a sense of relief, as opposed to, okay, I'm working with this person, but I know that I can give them 60% of it, and 40% I'm gonna have to help them carry.
Yeah.
And with you is I can give 100% of this, and I don't have to touch it again. I don't have to carry it again, except for to look at it and say, oh man, this is amazing. Thank you. And that is a blessing. That is a blessing. And that is not rare. And I think more service providers, and regardless of the service, more attorneys need to be able to do that. It is anything in service that is the difference between a service provider and a business partner. And I think you partner with businesses. That's what you do.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna be just smiling all night, y'all. I just want y'all to know that. So let's talk about, how did you break out the box and go from attorney to author to actress? Like, how did you do that? And then you did something I think that was amazing that a lot of people struggle with. You were actually able to kind of bridge them all as part of your brand. So how did you do that? Because I actually had, there's a young lady that's in one of my mastermind programs, and she has a virtual assistant business, but she also does some modeling on the side. And so how would, what would you say to her? How did you make that shift, and what advice would you give to them?
Sure. So that twofold. First, being outside of the box, or going outside of the box, and actually doing it. How did I do it? One, I think your purpose is what it is. So you could try to fight your purpose. Other people can try to fight your purpose. But what you were put here to do, because my knee-jerk answer was, how did I do it violently? Get out the box. But I was like, don't go there yet. Don't do that, because everybody doesn't know me. And when I say violently, I don't mean like actual violence, but it is a fight. It is a fight and a struggle sometimes, not only with yourself, where you start first, and giving yourself permission to be all that God called you to be. And that you have to start there, because if you don't really, really, really commit to giving yourself permission, when other people come to whittle away at that permission, to whittle away your purpose. I mean, I have been.
Because they coming.
Oh, they're coming, because your audacity to rise above the mediocrity of life,
that part,
tickles people. It makes people feel uncomfortable, and they will project their stuff onto you. It is inevitable. It is, whether it is that you went back to, so for me, with some of the things that I did, I always had books inside of me, and I'm big on seasons. So you don't have to live outside of a box every season, 24/7 of your life, all the time.
That's good.
It is a season for everything. I did not do all of these things at one time. I tell people all the time, what you are looking at even right now is a snapshot of a culmination of 18 years. I've been a lawyer for 18 years. I know people don't believe that, because black doesn't crack. And she doesn't look it, but I have been practicing law for 18 years. Now I went straight through undergrad. So I was an attorney by the age of 24, 25. Nobody plateaus in life at that age. So of course there will be other things, and you can perfect, and I'm always developing my legal skill set, me as an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
But God gives us all, the way I make the analogy, God gives us all a highway to drive down. You may have a 2-lane or a 3-lane highway. I may have a 5-lane highway, but it's our path. It is our highway. Your highway does not have to look like mine. I don't have to have 3 lanes just because you do. You don't have to have 5 because I do. God gives us all. And if I swerve in all my 5 lanes, that's what I'm built to do. He gave me the ability to do that. The problem is that so often people get intimidated. Your path, your boldness makes them feel some kind of way because it's a reflection on, well, if she did it, why didn't I do that? Or, and instead of being inspired, it frustrates me sometimes because people will look at other women doing things or other people achieving certain things and get intimidated, jealous, envious, judgmental. And why does she have to do all these things, instead of seeing that and truly being inspired, not being deflated, like, wow, she did all that, I could never do that. That's not the narrative. That's their own stuff. But I remember, so one is about seasons, doing everything in the right season at the right time. At one point in time, especially when I was a new mom, it was all that I could do to get up, go to my law, and be a new mother and shower. I counted showering every day as an accomplishment, and it was. And so some days, some seasons in your life, that is really where you are with things, and it's okay. I have been there too. What you are seeing right now, somebody has a 12 and a 10-year-old that's fully functional. I've been doing this for a while.
Yes.
I didn't write, I'm not doing this with a 9-month-old baby. I'm not. I didn't write all of these books at once. I wrote them in certain seasons. So when I stopped practicing law and had to move to the UK and had to reevaluate, okay, who am I as a person beyond just what I do? Who am I? Not just what do I do? Then it became a situation of, okay, I had all these books inside of me, didn't have time to write them before. Took a pause. They all poured out. The children's book, Winning with Christ, Beauty for Ashes, all of these things poured out. And then I developed the process of knowing how to do a hybrid publishing with a publishing company and being self-published, and what were the components. It's a process. And so all of this didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen a year ago. It didn't happen all at the same time. So knowing that you can do things in certain seasons. I was not Miss World International in my first pageant. You're looking at somebody who's done pageants now for 13 years. It's a combination of things. It's not a snapshot. So don't let somebody's snapshot make you feel intimidated or inferior. Now, if you took that and felt inferior, that is your own stuff and you need to deal with that. But don't feel intimidated or inferior. When I went to Mrs. World in 2011, every woman there, it was 60-something contestants, every woman there was a doctor, lawyer, or Indian chief. And I mean that literally. I have never been around a group of women that were so accomplished. There was one woman who was a doctor who flew planes and delivered blankets to orphans in Africa in her spare time. I'm talking about women like that, where I looked at them and said, wait a minute, what?
Wow.
But I it was the way strangest things. I never felt intimidated being in that room. I felt extremely inspired. And there was this one woman, I won't say her name because I don't want to embarrass her. She inspired me so much. She was fabulous. It's very rare that I would be like, oh, this person can beat me in a pageant. She, honey, hands down, I give it to her. Like, she was everything. And I never felt intimidated. I was just like, oh my gosh, and she was such a nice person. She got so much hate at that pageant. That's why I won't say her name, because she knows her experience. And she got hated on so bad at that pageant. Ooh, those girls were mean to her. Women, I said, because this is Mrs., right? They were so mean to her, but it was an intimidation factor. Me, I was just like, this person is everything. Did you see her shoes and her lashes and her wardrobe? Yes. And she had published a children's book. And in that moment, I hadn't written any of my books. And in that moment, I didn't get like envious or in my mind, I was like, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? You know, these books are inside of you. And in seeing her, it inspired me. And out of that connection, and she and I connected many times over. After that, she came to London, we hung out. We are great, great friends, probably because I was probably one of the only women that was nice to her. Because everybody was intimidated. She's fabulous now. I'm telling you this. She talking about owning the room. She's just a wonderful person. She is so inspirational. And I think sometimes we can look at other women and get intimidated instead of getting inspired. And you can either get intimidated or inspired. The choice is yours. And if you are the person that is either intimidating or inspiring, the choices that other people make to do with that is not your business. It's not your problem. It's hard not to internalize that. So how I dealt with, yes, because there are people, I remember the first time I started back acting. I started acting when I was 9. I adulted, decided I wanted to go, and because I wanted to be a lawyer too. My mother is a musician. My mother was in the arts, so she was the one who really pushed us. I played 5 instruments growing up. I was in theater. My mom was the artsy kind, and my dad was a CFO. So I blame them totally for this left brain, right brain thing I have going on. That's all their fault. They should have chose wisely, But I love it because I get to use my whole brain all the time. But when I started back acting in London, I had a group of women that I was friends with who were also expats. And I remember one day in their kitchen, because we would do soul food Sundays, and we would rotate around houses, and we would host these dinners and everything. It was beautiful. I had just finished my first feature film, and I actually went on to get nominated for a Best Actress Award with the British Urban Film Festival for that role, which I didn't even see coming, because it was my first feature film. I didn't really think that I was that good, to be honest. I think as an actor, as an actor, you never think you're that good. I still don't, but I probably never will, which is a good thing. But I was in the kitchen, and they were preparing food, and this one woman turned around to me and started berating me for acting, berating me, and I mean berating. I like ugly, like, why would you do that? I don't think your husband would ever want to see you on the screen with another man, because I played someone's wife. So I played the lead character's wife. Now, mind you, in the world of the arts, as Black women, as Black actresses, most of us have to start out taking whatever we can. And a lot of us start out the prostitute, the crackhead, the stripper. Those are our roles.
The other woman,
the chick, the other chick, the chick with the attitude all the time. No, I was his wife. I was an attorney in the film. I was his wife. I helped him start this business. It was a wonderful story. It's actually, the second part is coming out this summer, because I was in the second part of that too. But it's a wonderful film. Black director, writer, producer. I mean, it was up for Best Picture with the British Urban Film Festival at that following year. Wonderful opportunity. I auditioned. I didn't know anybody. I saw the casting call. I went down and auditioned, got the role. It is a unique blessing and a testimony in of itself that I was even in the room. But instead of seeing that, she was just like, you shouldn't do this. It's an embarrassment. I would never want to do this. You're a little bit old to start this. I was 35 at the time. She was like, you're a little old to start. Oh, she gave it to me in front of all those women. I mean, she let me have it in the name of, I'm trying to give you advice. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to,
that part.
Yes. And she was like, did you have to kiss on screen? And I'm like, well, I'm his wife, like a pet, have a good day, honey, but I'm an actress. It's what actors do. And she was like, well, did you have to take an AIDS test? I'm like, for a closed mouth kiss? First of all, note to self, you're not going to be in charge of any of the sex ed classes at the school. That's first, okay? You're off the PTA committee for that. You're not going to be able to participate in that. That's first. Like, what? I mean, it was a berating and a humiliation that an attempted humiliation that I will never forget.
Yeah.
But it was her own stuff. It was probably that she wanted to do certain things in her life and had put them to the back burner, felt like they were unachievable, unattainable. And so later that year when I got nominated for Best Actress, because I mean, she left me feeling like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, really humiliating. Like it was a circle of women around me. Like, this is bad. You shouldn't be doing it. It was bad. But I know I'm not the only person that goes through. Sometimes it's the people that are closest to you, because they're the only ones that have access to you, to your dreams, to your hopes, to your, you know, you're outside of the box. And they're the ones that sometimes you have to, you know, tell, I love you. I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm not going to internalize this. And what stopped it when I really could articulate to people, please don't find yourself on the wrong side of God's purpose for me. Because before I was ever your friend, your sister, your cousin, your whatever.
That's good.
I was his. So don't fight his purpose in my life, because you're fighting him. And I don't fight those battles. He does. And he doesn't take kindly to people trying to undermine what he's trying to do. And so I think sometimes people don't really see it as, oh my gosh, I'm anti-purpose, anti-God in this person's life, when they are trying to be so controlling over what it is, as though you didn't pray, as though God didn't give you the vision, it's mine.
That part.
So why would he share that with you? He's not talking to you about me like that. And sometimes, you know, heaven forbid it's our spouse, and you have to tell someone, you know, because I've had friends that that's the case, and you have to tell them, hey, have you prayed? Because God should be talking to you about what he's doing in my life. And is that thus saith the Lord, or is that thus
and without talking to me? That's the part that always trips me out, is when people come with well, you know, I prayed about it, and the Lord said, and I'm like, right, and the Lord said, and I'm like, well, you know, I do talk to him as well, and he ain't told me that yet.
And biblically, that's not even how prophecy works. He will confirm a thing through someone.
That's it. That part.
The revelation is not through them. The revelation is directly to you and confirmed through them. So if he hasn't downloaded that to me, you might have had a great dream, or you might have ate lasagna too late at night, or you might have been projecting your own stuff onto me. And that happens so often. I think you have to, but that's when you have to go back to what God said to you and have the tenacity to hold on to it, no matter what someone else says, no matter what someone else whispers in your ear, behind your back, around you, in front of you, on the phone, whatever the case may be.
And have the resolve to keep going. And I'll be honest, sometimes it hurts. Like, you'll have that experience where people will say something, and like it will cut you to the core, and like completely disturb, and you be like, what just happened? Because I did not see that coming.
Oh yeah, especially when people, if it's something that they didn't see coming from you. Like, I have a lot of people that met me in college or met me in law school who didn't know, or even people who've known me, you know what, I'll take that. But I don't really get this from people who have known me my entire life. Like, if they knew me in childhood or they knew me as a child, they know
you, they know your heart, they know your intention behind it, they know.
Yes. Well, and they knew me when I was in theater, and they knew me when I was in the band, and they knew me when I was drum major and playing fight. They knew that breath.
So it's no surprise.
It's no surprise to people that have known me since I was 2 years old. But for people who may have like met me in college, like I was the smart person and I went to law school, they're like, who is this actor person? You know, and because they built the box, it's their box. You build your own, you shouldn't really have a box. You should have a sphere, you know, a bowl. The things can be poured into this open on the top. You should have a bowl. You should not have a box, because boxes have edges and limits and corners and lids, and bowls you just pour into it, because God, it says he wakes up and gives us new blessings renewed every single day. He decides what season your talents show up in, what seasons they manifest in, the timing that you're allowed to tap into those things that are revealed to you. that you didn't even know that you should pursue. I always knew that I could act. I always wanted to. I always loved it. I wasn't always focused on it. I just wasn't, and it wasn't the season. But I think that sometimes people, when they meet you and they see you in a snapshot and they think that they really know you, I think all of us have to be mindful to always think about the fact that God knew this person and knows this person way better than you do. So how dare us stand in the way of whatever God is doing in somebody else's life? Now, that's not to say that if someone is taking a path that we feel like, that's not the wisest choice. Yeah. It's a difference between giving wise counsel and discouraging. Yeah. And it's a place that you come from.
And there's
you can invite
that.
Yeah, it's a difference. You can give your opinion without discouraging somebody. You can give wise counsel to say, have you thought about this? Or I invite you to explore certain things, but you don't have a right to, unless it's your child and they're underage. I have a right to tell my children, go study. This is what you're going to do. But if they're not your child, then ultimately they're God's child. And God is telling them, go study, go do this. This is what you're going to do. That they're God's child, not yours.
Oh my gosh, this has been amazing. Basically, we are just having our regular
Yes.
time to talk, and we've just invited y'all in because this is what we do. We can just talk forever. So before we go, what are some of the challenges you are facing right now as like a multi-CEO, wife, mother? You have all these ventures going on, and how can I support you in that?
Oh gosh, well, you already are. I mean, that it's like, obviously COVID-19 has thrown a wrench and, made things, I won't say necessary, challenging, yes, but also requiring us to be very flexible, very nimble. And if we thought we knew how to think outside the box before, and it's funny because I was talking to somebody here that was here in Taiwan when they were going through SARS. And they were talking about during that time that you either shrank and disappeared and became defeated, or the level of innovation that came out of that time frame. So it's either a time when you shrink or you innovate. And so I think, as we have launched Dress for Success Chattanooga virtually, which you were critical in that, just continuing to help us and to help myself to think outside of the box, to innovate. You already have a task already. You got it to do this already. But I think, just continuing to do what it is that you do. When we come to you with problems and issues, obviously navigating in this virtual platform, in this virtual world, and all of us thinking virtually. But see, I've been having to do that for so long because I live in different continents, and I live in different places, and then run businesses in different places. So this concept of remote living and working is not foreign to me. I think it was very foreign to other people, but technology was not foreign to me. I'm kind of relieved and glad so I can stop hearing it, like, how are you? Why are you? Why would you still do this in London and you're living in this place? It's no big deal now. Praise God. I'm just like, great. We can all get on some virtual platforms and we can all get in 2020 and act like Zoom exists. And there are ways,
Absolutely.
So your virtual support in this virtual new world for some, expanded world for others,
yes,
is a great blessing and a great help. And just continuing to be you is all that we need.
Amen. And that I can do, that I can handle. So, wow, I told you guys this was going to be so good and so much fun. Like, we have so much fun every single time that we get on. And so if you enjoyed this, which I know you did, I would love for you to hit the like button, share it with anybody that you know needs to hear these gems that were dropped. Be sure to leave a comment. If you have any questions, let us know what your key takeaways were from tonight. If you have any questions, any tips or experiences you want to share, be sure to share them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. If you have questions for Juanita, I will be sure to pass those on to her so that she can answer them and we'll get her responses. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Your Admin Expert. Subscribe to the email list at Your Virtual Admin Expert so you can get more tips, tools, strategies. I send out something every single week. Be sure to follow Juanita on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at I am Juanita Ingram. And be sure to visit her website at IamJuanitaIngram.com and purchase her latest ebook, Peace Over Panic. It's only $5, so don't trip. And she donates it to charity. So make sure that you guys do that and check out those shoes. So I will see you guys again next week for another session of Leading Behind the Scenes and another special guest. So good night. Mwah.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh.